You walk into a room and suddenly, everything shifts. Without a single word being spoken, you feel the stares. Some are subtle, almost imperceptible. Others are direct, charged with something you can't quite define. There's curiosity, but also discomfort. Some people are drawn to you without even realizing why, while others, for no apparent reason, pull away. You sense that something is in the air, and this isn't the first time it's happened. Maybe you've tried to ignore it. Maybe you thought it was just your imagination. But deep down, something tells you this isn't a coincidence. Because no matter where you are, this feeling keeps repeating itself. Different places, different people, but the same reaction. You notice the quick glances, the forced smiles, the shift in energy around you. Something inside you starts to question, what is really happening? What most people don't realize is that the energy we emit speaks before we ever open our mouths. And yours, chosen one, is different. It doesn't go unnoticed. It takes up space, fills the room, and impacts people. Some feel drawn to it, others feel uneasy. Not because of anything you're doing, but simply because your presence is intense enough to create an effect wherever you go. This is not a mistake. It's not something to hide. On the contrary, it's a clear sign that your energy is not ordinary. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to like you instantly, even without knowing you, while others feel uncomfortable just being near you? Have you noticed how certain spaces seem to shift the moment you enter, as if the very weight of the atmosphere is being rearranged? If this has happened to you, then it's time to understand what it all means. The truth is, your energy is awakening. And even if you haven't fully realized it yet, the world around you already has. But what exactly does this mean? What is changing, and why do some people seem to distance themselves without reason? The answers are closer than you think. And once you understand, everything will make sense. Have you ever walked into a room and noticed that, without saying a word, people's behavior changes? Some are drawn to you, feeling an unexplainable attraction. Others suddenly become restless, avoid eye contact, or even come up with an excuse to leave. Maybe you've noticed this happening more than once and asked yourself, am I imagining things? But you're not. Your energy speaks before you ever say a word. This happens because the energy of the chosen ones is not ordinary. It doesn't go unnoticed. The vibration you carry is different from that of most people. While many operate in a state of autopilot, trapped in routines and patterns that disconnect them from their spiritual essence, you vibrate at a frequency that disrupts that normalcy. And when your energy interacts with theirs, the reaction is inevitable. People who are still asleep, who live consumed by fear, insecurities, and illusions, experience your presence as a shock. Not because you're trying to do anything, but because your very existence confronts everything they have been avoiding within themselves. When a chosen one enters a space, they shift the vibrational field of that environment. It's like turning on a bright light in a dark room. Some will feel relieved to finally see clearly, while others will shield their eyes and try to escape. But what about those who feel drawn to you for no apparent reason? What makes them approach you? The answer lies in your energetic frequency. People who, at some level, are ready to awaken or elevate their vibration perceive your presence as a calling. They can't explain it, but something inside them recognizes something in you. And unconsciously, they want to be near you, to absorb that energy, to understand what makes you different. This is one of the clearest signs of your awakening. The world around you reacts to your vibration because it no longer aligns with the majority. Have you noticed how some people seem uncomfortable around you, even when you've done nothing wrong? Have you seen how, when you talk about certain topics, some respond with resistance or even irritation? This is not about you. It's about the impact your energy has on them. The issue is not just that your vibration is higher, it's that when your consciousness awakens, it becomes a mirror. The people around you are not reacting to you. They are reacting to what you reflect back at them. Some will see this as an invitation to evolve. Others will see it as a threat. But regardless of their reaction, one thing is certain: your energy is intense. And once you realize this, there is no going back. You step into a room, and before you even say a word, you feel that something has shifted. People notice you without you needing to seek attention. Some glance at you briefly, while others stare longer than usual. There's an unspoken recognition in the air, as if your mere presence is enough to alter the atmosphere. This is not a coincidence. Your energy field is perceived before any verbal interaction takes place. For some, it's like a magnet. They feel inexplicably drawn to you, wanting to be near without knowing why. For others, your presence is almost unsettling. They avoid looking at you, shift their gaze, or even change their behavior when you approach. Not because of anything you've done, but because your energy speaks louder than words ever could. This happens because the vibrational field of a chosen one is not subtle. It is intense, authentic, unmistakable. Wherever you go, it creates an impact. Those who are in tune with this frequency perceive it as something positive, a sign of connection and growth. But those who are still trapped in old patterns, who refuse to see beyond appearances, experience this energy as a disruption. People who are not ready to awaken react in one of two ways when they encounter someone with a high vibration. Either they are drawn in, seeking to absorb some of that energy, or they pull away, feeling as though something inside them is being exposed. And this is when you start to notice the effect you have on others. Some feel inspired, as if they are standing before something that pushes them to grow. Others feel uncomfortable, as if your presence is a mirror forcing them to confront parts of themselves they would rather ignore. The truth is that your energy cannot be ignored. No matter how much you try to blend in, there is something about you that stands out. Maybe it's your gaze, the way you move, or simply the frequency your presence emits. This could explain why, so often, you feel that you are perceived differently, even when you're just sitting in silence. And if you have felt this before, if you've noticed that your presence affects others without you doing anything, this is one of the clearest signs that your energy is awakening. But this is not the only evidence. There are other signs that make it clear you are going through a transformation that few people understand. And when you recognize the next one, everything will make even more sense. Have you ever walked into a space and felt the atmosphere shift instantly? As if, suddenly, the air became heavier. Or on the contrary, lighter. Maybe conversations paused for a moment, people adjusted their posture, or the tone of their voices subtly changed. And the most intriguing part? You didn't say anything. You didn't do anything. You simply arrived. If this has ever happened to you, know that it is not a coincidence. Your energy has a greater impact than you realize. Some environments seem to come to life when you enter, as if your presence brings a sense of renewal. Others become tense, as if your vibration is exposing something that was hidden. Either way, people feel it. Most can't explain it, but they notice. Some look at you as if trying to understand exactly what just changed. Others, without realizing it, begin to act differently, shift the topic of conversation, or adjust their posture. It's not about your appearance, and it's not about your actions. It's about the energy field you carry. What happens is simple. Your presence alters the vibration of the space. If the place already has a high frequency, your arrival amplifies it, making everything feel more harmonious. But if the space carries heavy energy, your vibration exposes it, making it more noticeable. And this can be uncomfortable for those who are present. Have you ever noticed that when you walk into certain places, you instantly feel whether the energy there is good or bad? This happens because your sensitivity is growing. While most people overlook these subtle vibrations, you perceive them clearly. And more than that, the environment responds to your presence. Maybe you felt chills upon entering a place for no apparent reason, or a pressure in your chest, as if something was wrong, even though everyone around you was acting normally. At the same time, perhaps you've experienced the opposite, a sudden wave of peace and clarity when stepping into certain spaces, as if your own energy was aligning with the environment. This happens because your vibration does not only perceive, it interacts. Imagine that your energy is like a radio frequency. Wherever you go, it tunes into the vibrations of that place. If the frequencies are compatible, the environment feels welcoming and comfortable. But if there is a clash between them, you feel the impact, and so do the people around you. And here's something even more interesting. Some people pretend not to notice, but they do. Have you ever caught people exchanging quick glances as if trying to understand what just changed? Or sense that, upon entering a tense environment, conversations suddenly feel forced, as if the weight of that energy has been exposed? This happens because your presence does not go unnoticed. If you walk into a place and suddenly the conversations shift, the atmosphere changes, or people start reacting differently, pay attention. This doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens to you. And when your energy starts transforming the spaces you enter, It's a clear sign that something within you has already changed. Have you ever noticed that, out of nowhere, some people simply drift away from you? Friendships that once felt strong begin to fade. Family members become distant for no apparent reason. Coworkers avoid conversations they used to engage in. And in many cases, there was no argument, no conflict, just a silent distance, as if something invisible had created a barrier between you. If this has happened to you, the first thing you need to understand is, do not blame yourself. This is not about you. It's about the energy you carry and how it affects others. The truth is that when your vibration starts to change, when your consciousness expands, the universe responds. Your presence begins to emit a different frequency, and that frequency is not compatible with everyone around you. People who are still stuck in negative patterns, who feed off gossip, drama, and illusions, feel a deep discomfort near someone who is awakening. Your light, no matter how natural, ends up exposing their shadows. And this is the most important point. Some people cannot handle this exposure, not because you've done anything to them, but because your energy has become a mirror. Your presence reflects what they have been avoiding within themselves. When a chosen one awakens, they don't need to say anything to make those who live in illusion uncomfortable. Their mere existence is enough for some people to feel uneasy, as if they are being pulled out of their comfort zone. And for many, the easiest response is not to grow, but to walk away. Have you noticed that some people start acting differently when you change? Maybe they used to feel comfortable talking about anything, but now they hesitate. Or perhaps those who once sought you out frequently now avoid deeper conversations. This is no coincidence. Your energy field is forcing them to confront parts of themselves they are not ready to face. And here's something even deeper. Some of these people don't even realize they're pulling away. They just feel like they no longer relate to you, that the connection isn't the same, but they can't explain why. This happens because the distancing isn't logical, it's energetic. The universe is always rearranging the path of a chosen one, and often this means removing those who are no longer aligned with your journey. If certain people have left your life without explanation, perhaps the real reason is that they were never meant to continue with you into the next phase of your evolution. And now, the big question, is this happening to you? If so, don't resist it. Don't try to hold on to those who have already chosen a different path, because whenever someone leaves, another connection is being prepared, one that truly belongs to your new level of consciousness. You feel that something within you has changed, but you can't quite explain what. Small details in your perception have started to feel different. Places that once made you feel good now leave you restless. Conversations that once interested you now seem empty. Some people around you have started acting strangely, as if something in them is uncomfortable in your presence. But until now, you hadn't connected all the dots. What if I told you that this isn't just a phase? That these changes are clear signs that your energy is awakening, even if you haven't fully realized it yet? Most people expect spiritual awakening to happen in a grand way, like a mystical revelation or a moment of absolute clarity. But in reality, this process is quiet and subtle at first. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply happens. And by the time you realize it, you're no longer the same person you once were. What few people talk about is that awakening begins before you even understand that you are changing. You start to feel a slight detachment from certain situations, lose interest in old habits, and without any conscious effort, your perception of the world begins to expand. But the clearest sign that your energy is awakening doesn't come from within you. It comes from the way people around you react. Have you noticed that some people have started acting strangely around you? Maybe they've become colder, less accessible, or they simply stopped responding to your messages. Others, on the other hand, suddenly seek you out more than before. They want to talk, ask for advice, or just be near you. This isn't a coincidence. When your vibration changes, it creates movement around you. Those who are in sync with this new frequency get even closer. Those who aren't feel an invisible weight and distance themselves, often without understanding why. And here's something important. This doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. On the contrary, it means that your energy field is adjusting, eliminating what no longer serves you and bringing closer what aligns with your new frequency. But there's something you need to know. This process can feel confusing at first. You might wonder why some people who were always by your side now seem distant. You might feel an unexpected sense of loneliness, as if no one around you understands. But this loneliness is not emptiness. It's space being created for something greater to enter. And here's the truth that few have the courage to say. Most people only realize they are awakening after the transformation has already begun. You don't need to wait for absolute proof to know you're changing. The fact that you're feeling these shifts is proof enough. Now, the big question is, are you ready to embrace this new version of yourself? Because once this awakening begins, there's no turning back. Have you noticed that some people avoid looking directly into your eyes? That when they talk to you, they look away, seem restless, or keep their gaze fixed elsewhere, as if something inside them refuses that connection? And at the same time, there are those who, when they meet your eyes, seem hypnotized, as if they are trying to decipher something within you. This is not random. The eyes of the chosen do not lie. They carry truth, reflecting what many try to hide. And for some people, that is unbearable. Eye contact has always been one of the deepest forms of communication. While most people use words to conceal emotions, the eyes reveal what lies behind the mask. That's why, in the presence of someone with awakened energy, reactions are extreme. Either the person feels drawn to you, wanting to absorb that truth, or they feel uncomfortable, as if they are being exposed without wanting to be. Have you ever looked at someone and immediately sensed what they were feeling, even without them saying a word? Or noticed that when you fix your gaze on someone, they become uneasy, as if you're seeing right through them? If so, know that this is one of the clearest signs that your energy is not ordinary. The chosen ones have a gaze that pierces through. It's not just the intensity, but what it carries. It's the look of someone who has seen beyond the obvious, who senses what others cannot. People who live in illusion, who run from their own shadows, instinctively perceive this. They avoid that gaze because deep down, they know they cannot pretend in front of someone who sees beyond appearances. But there's another side to this. There are those who feel deeply connected to your gaze. They don't look away. On the contrary, they hold the stare because they feel there's something there, as if they are trying to understand what exactly makes you different. This connection can be so intense that at times you may notice that people don't even blink while looking at you. They may not understand why, but they feel that there's something in you that they cannot find in anyone else. And there's something even deeper. Your gaze doesn't just see, it reveals. Have you ever locked eyes with someone, and moments later, they started opening up about their life, as if they felt the need to share? This happens because even without words, your presence makes people feel like they no longer need to hide who they truly are. But this comes at a cost. Because your eyes reflect truth, some people will feel this as a relief, while others will feel it as a confrontation. Some will be drawn to you, feeling like they've finally found someone who truly sees them. Others will distance themselves, unable to handle that level of exposure. And here's the big revelation. If you've noticed these extreme reactions, if some people avoid your gaze while others can't stop looking at you, this is not a coincidence. It is one of the clearest signs that your energy is awakening. Now, the question is, what has your gaze revealed that words never could? Have you ever felt that someone was lying to you, even without having any proof? Or sensed that a person's energy didn't match their words, as if something unspoken was lingering in the air? You don't know how, but you just feel it. Something inside you picks up on hidden truths that others don't perceive. This happens because your intuition is not ordinary. While most people only listen to what is said, you perceive what remains unspoken. You read gestures, glances, and tone of voice. Small details that go unnoticed by others are clear to you, and this sensitivity creates intense reactions around you. Many people live behind masks. They learn to hide intentions, disguise emotions, and say what others want to hear. But when they are in front of you, something inside them becomes unsettled, because deep down they know you see beyond the surface. Have you noticed that some people get nervous around you for no apparent reason? Maybe they avoid eye contact, quickly change the subject, or become defensive without you having said anything. This happens because your presence triggers a silent fear in them, the fear of being exposed. And this doesn't just happen with strangers. Have you ever been in a conversation and suddenly felt the other person tense up, as if they knew you were seeing beyond their words? Or have you ever heard someone say, "It feels like you can read minds"? This happens because in a way, you do, not thoughts but vibrations. This ability manifests in different ways in daily life. Sometimes, when meeting someone for the first time, you immediately sense whether you can trust them or not. Other times, when hearing a story, you instantly feel if something is being hidden. Even in work or relationships, you detect ulterior motives before anyone else notices. And the most interesting part? Your body reacts before your mind can even process it. Maybe you feel a sudden chill, a tightness in your stomach, or an unexplained discomfort. Your energy field picks up the truth and sends you physical signals. The problem is that, too often, you doubt this perception and try to rationalize what you felt. But every time you ignored that intuition, in the end, you realized you were right, didn't you? This can be uncomfortable for those who are used to hiding their true selves. Some people will avoid your presence without knowing why. Others will try to manipulate you, but will give up when they realize you don't fall for illusions. And then there are those who deep down crave this clarity. They seek you out to find answers they didn't even know they were looking for. But here's something even more powerful. You don't just sense the truth in others. Many times, they can feel that you know. And that's why some people distance themselves while others become completely fascinated by your presence. When your energy awakens, you become a mirror for others. Those who have something to hide feel uncomfortable, while those who seek truth feel drawn to you. And this is exactly how the universe separates those who should walk alongside you from those who are never meant to stay. If you've noticed this ability within yourself, know that it's not common. It is one of the clearest signs that your spiritual energy is awakening. But there's something that even fewer people realize. And if I told you that this ability can be developed even further, that changes everything. Have you ever had a dream so vivid that when you woke up, it felt like more than just imagination? As if your mind had accessed something beyond the ordinary, something that felt like a direct message from the universe? And the strangest part, days or weeks later, something happened exactly as you saw in your dream. If this has ever happened to you, know that it's not a coincidence. Your energy is awakening, and as this happens, your mind expands beyond the limits of ordinary reality. Dreams stop being mere fragments of the subconscious and become channels of communication with higher dimensions. What most people don't realize is that the dreams of the chosen are not like ordinary dreams. They bring more intense sensations, more vibrant colors, symbolic messages, and sometimes even encounters with people or beings who seem to be trying to convey something important. But the most striking detail is the feeling upon waking up. You know, it wasn't just a dream. Have you ever dreamed of someone, and then the next day, that person unexpectedly contacted you? Or had a strange dream about an unfamiliar place and sometime later ended up visiting that exact location? These are clear signs that your energy is accessing information beyond time and space. And there's something even more intriguing. Some people begin having dreams with messages that don't seem to be just for them, but for others around them. Maybe you felt an inexplicable need to share a dream with someone, as if that information needed to be passed on. Often, this type of dream comes as a warning, an alert, or confirmation. Beyond premonitory dreams, there is another phenomenon that many chosen ones experience: the feeling of being conscious within their own dreams. Have you ever realized while dreaming that you were inside a dream, or felt like you could control what was happening? This is known as lucid dreaming, and it is one of the strongest signs that your consciousness is expanding. Dreams can also be portals for spiritual connections. Many chosen ones report that after their energy awakened, they started having frequent dreams with spiritual guides, ancestors, or even beings that seemed to offer knowledge and protection. In these experiences, the feeling is always the same. It didn't seem like a simple dream, but rather a real encounter in another state of consciousness. And here's something even deeper. The dreams of the chosen often come with signs in real life. Have you ever dreamed of a number, a word, or a symbol, and then started seeing it repeatedly in your daily life? As if the universe was reinforcing the message? This happens because when your energy awakens, your connection to the unseen strengthens, and messages begin to manifest both inside and outside your dream world. If you feel that your dreams carry something greater, don't ignore it. They are one of the clearest signs that your spiritual energy is awakening. And the question that remains is, what is the universe trying to show you? At first, you think you're just changing internally, that your perceptions are expanding, that your consciousness is becoming clearer. But then something unexpected happens. People around you start reacting differently. Some of them no longer seem to recognize you. Others become distant, cold, as if something about you unsettles them. And then there are those who try to pull you back to who you used to be. They criticize you, say you've changed too much. And the truth is, yes, you have changed. What few people talk about is that when your energy awakens, not everyone around you is ready for it. Many people live in a state of stagnation. They've grown comfortable with a version of you that no longer exists. And when they notice this change, they feel something inside them being challenged. This can be painful. Friends of many years start to drift away. Family members who were once close begin acting strangely. Relationships become unstable. You may try to understand what's happening, but the answer is simple. Your energy is no longer compatible with certain environments and certain people. But here's the truth that no one likes to hear. This separation is not a punishment, it's protection. The universe is not taking anything away from you. It is clearing the path so that only those who truly align with your frequency remain. Have you felt that after you started changing, some people began treating you with irony? That they started testing you, provoking you, trying to make you react in a way that no longer makes sense for you? This is no accident. When you awaken, the energy of those still trapped in illusion feels the impact of your presence. Some people will see your transformation as a threat. They may not say it directly, but they will try to minimize your growth, telling you that you're exaggerating, that you're too different. But here's what you need to remember. It is not your job to make others accept your change. Awakening comes with choices. You can hold on to the past and try to keep people who no longer belong on your path, or you can accept that some departures are actually liberations. And what many forget is that when certain people leave your life, the universe brings others who truly align with your new frequency. But this only happens when you have the courage to let go of what no longer serves your growth. So the big question is, are you ready to move forward, even if some people are left behind? This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. On the contrary, it means your consciousness is beyond what most people are ready to understand. Many chosen ones feel like they don't fit into traditional environments, whether it's school, work, or social groups. Jobs that require you to follow orders without question feel suffocating. Shallow conversations don't hold your attention. Automatic routines make you feel trapped. This happens because your soul is searching for something greater, something with real purpose. And that's why, so often, you feel like you're swimming against the current. While most people conform, you seek truth. While many accept routine, you feel like you were born for something bigger. But here's something important. This feeling of not belonging is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of awakening. The fact that you don't fit in means you weren't meant to be just another part of the system. You were meant to question, to expand, and to create a new path. And here's something no one told you. The system was designed to make you feel wrong for being different. It conditions you to believe that, in order to be accepted, you need to mold yourself, act like everyone else, follow the same steps. But that never worked for you, did it? Because your spirit wasn't meant to fit in. It was meant to expand. If you've ever tried to adapt but felt like it only pulled you further away from who you really are, know that this is a clear sign that your mission goes beyond what society imposes. You weren't meant to follow a path that has already been paved. You were meant to create your own. So the big question is, what will you do with this awareness? Will you keep trying to fit in? Or will you finally accept that you were born for something much greater? Since childhood, you felt that you see the world differently. While everyone else seemed to accept the rules without question, you always needed to understand why. While most followed traditional paths, you felt like they didn't make sense for you. And as your energy awakens, this feeling only grows stronger. The chosen ones never fully fit into society. This doesn't mean they are rebels without a cause or that they reject everything around them. It means they see beyond illusion. They know that many social norms are just conventions designed to keep people within a predictable pattern of behavior. But for those who awaken, the system starts to feel increasingly empty. Have you ever felt out of place in common conversations? While everyone talks about superficial topics, you feel like you're on another frequency, craving deeper, more authentic discussions. And when you try to express yourself, You realize that few truly understand your perspective. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. On the contrary, it means your consciousness is beyond what most people are ready to comprehend. Many chosen ones feel like they don't belong in traditional settings, whether it's school, work, or social circles. Jobs that require blind obedience feel stifling. Small talk doesn't hold your interest. Repetitive routines make you feel like you're trapped. This happens because your soul is searching for something greater, something with real meaning. And that's why you often feel like you're going against the flow. While most people accept the way things are, you keep searching for deeper truths. While many settle into routine, you feel an unshakable call towards something more. But here's something important. This sense of not belonging is not a weakness. It's a sign of awakening. The fact that you don't fit in means you weren't meant to simply conform. You were meant to question, expand, and create your own path. And here's something no one told you. The system was designed to make you feel wrong for being different. It conditions you to believe that in order to be accepted, you need to conform, to act like everyone else, to follow the same path. But that never worked for you, did it? Because your spirit was never meant to fit in. It was meant to grow. If you've ever tried to adapt but felt like it only distanced you from your true self, know that this is a clear sign that your mission goes beyond societal expectations. You weren't meant to follow a pre-made path. You were meant to forge your own. So the big question is, what will you do with this awareness? Will you keep trying to fit in, or finally embrace that you were born for something much greater? Have you ever noticed that people mention your name even when you're not around? Or that someone reaches out to you after a long time saying they just randomly thought of you? This isn't a coincidence. Your energy field isn't limited to physical space. It leaves a mark on people, on places, and even on situations you touch. This means that even when you leave a place, your presence is still felt. People with ordinary energy go unnoticed. They come and go without leaving an impact. But you are different. Your vibration is too strong to be ignored. Have you ever walked into a room and, even without saying much, felt that everyone noticed you? Or left a conversation, only to find out later that people kept talking about you? This happens because your energy doesn't disappear when you leave. It lingers. And this applies not only to physical spaces, but also to the digital world. Have you noticed that people who barely interact with you on social media still seem to know details about your life, as if they've been watching silently? This happens because your presence doesn't rely on constant contact. It remains imprinted in people's minds. But here's something even more powerful. Some people come to you saying they dreamed about you or felt your presence in unexpected moments, as if, in some way, your energy had manifested in their lives without any logical explanation. If this has happened, know that it's a clear sign that your vibration extends beyond the physical realm. And here's an important detail. The more you awaken, the more intense this energy becomes. This means that some people will miss you without knowing why. Others might even avoid you because just the thought of your presence forces them to confront things they aren't ready to face. The chosen ones leave a trail wherever they go. They don't need to be physically present to be remembered. And there's something even greater. When your energy reaches this level, it doesn't just impact people, it also affects places. Have you ever returned to a place where you spent a lot of time and felt like a part of you was still there? Like your energy had been absorbed into that space? This happens because everything you touch, everything you feel deeply, everything you experience holds a piece of your vibration. That's why some places feel welcoming while others drain you. Your energy shapes the environment just as much as it affects you. But here's something most people don't realize. What if I told you that this energetic presence can be used for something much greater? The answer lies in the final sign, and it may change everything. At first, it seems like nothing is happening. You feel something shifting inside you, but on the surface, your life looks the same. But then you start noticing small changes. People who were once close to you begin to drift away. Places that once felt comforting now seem unfamiliar. Certain conversations no longer make sense to you. And then you realize, it's not the world that's changing, it's you. Your awakening doesn't happen suddenly. It seeps into your life subtly, almost imperceptibly. At first, it may feel like a vague discomfort, a growing unease with things that once seemed normal. But over time, You realize that you're being guided towards something greater, even if you don't fully understand what it is yet. Maybe you've noticed that your priorities are shifting. Things that once worried you no longer carry the same weight. Old habits start to lose meaning. Some people try to pull you back into who you used to be, but deep inside, something won't let you go backward. And if you resist this change, you'll feel something even stronger. The universe will start forcing you to move forward. Doors that were once open begin to close. Certain opportunities stop appearing. People who were always around start distancing themselves for no apparent reason. What's happening? You're being redirected. The most fascinating part? These changes aren't just internal. The universe starts sending you signs. You notice repeating patterns, matching numbers, synchronicities, coincidences that seem impossible. New people enter your life, bringing exactly the messages you need to hear. Unexpected opportunities arise, while situations that no longer serve you start to crumble. Maybe you felt a sudden urge to change your surroundings, to seek something new, even without knowing exactly what, to let go of connections that no longer make sense. That sense of restlessness isn't random, it's a calling. At first, it might feel like you're losing control. But here's the truth, you're not losing anything. You're being realigned. Everything that is falling away, everything that is changing, everything that is distancing itself is leaving because it has already served its purpose. And in its place, new possibilities begin to take shape, even if you can't fully see them yet. Spiritual awakening is not an event. It is a process, a path that leads you to a greater purpose, even if it feels confusing right now. And there's something most people don't realize. Once you begin to awaken, there's no turning back. You can try to ignore the signs, resist the changes, pretend that everything is still the same. But sooner or later, the universe will place you exactly where you need to be. So the real question isn't whether you will fully awaken, but whether you are ready to accept this calling and follow this new path. You've made it this far because deep down, you have always known there was something different about you, something that sets you apart from the majority, something you couldn't quite explain until now. The signs were around you all along. The way people reacted to you, the subtle changes in your life, the unexplainable sensations, all of it was a reflection of your awakening. And now, after understanding each of these signs, the question remains, what will you do with this awareness? Because here's the truth, awakening is not something you can ignore. You can try to return to an ordinary life, pretend that nothing has changed, even attempt to fit back into old patterns. But deep down, you already know that is no longer an option. The path of the chosen ones is not easy. You have already felt what it means to carry a different energy. People distancing themselves, places that no longer make sense, a deep feeling that you are here for something greater. And believe me, you are. But now comes the most important moment, accepting this calling, because recognizing the signs is only the beginning. The real power lies in how you choose to move forward from here. Many people go their entire lives without realizing who they truly are. Others feel the awakening but ignore it, out of fear, insecurity, or the belief that they are alone in this. But you didn't come this far by accident. You felt every word of this message because something inside you was already ready to be activated. And when you accept this calling, everything changes. You begin to see patterns that once went unnoticed. Your choices are no longer guided by fear, but driven by a higher purpose. Your intuition strengthens. You stop trying to fit in and start creating your own path. But there's something most people don't realize. Awakening doesn't happen all at once. It comes in layers, revealing deeper and deeper truths. Every choice you make from this moment on can take you even further into this process. So the real question is not just whether you are awakening. The real question is, are you ready to take the next step? If this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "My energy is awakening." This is not just a phrase. It is a commitment to your own truth, a sign to the universe that you are ready to fully embrace your awakening. And if you feel that this message needs to reach more people, share this video, because there are many chosen ones out there who still don't understand what is happening to them. And maybe you are the one meant to ignite that spark. Now the decision is yours. Will you ignore all of this, or will you finally accept who you truly are?